Welcome back to the Slow Tended Life, where today I am building a small building that will house a garden shower and composting toilet area. Do I do everything right in this video? No, I definitely do not, but I am figuring it out and we're almost completed. This video will show about 3/4 of this project getting completed. The rest will be in another video. So I've never actually framed a building before, so I'm relying on the school of YouTube and just seeing other people do this sort of work in person. I do have a background in trades and building, but not this type of building. I'm often told by others how confident I am, and I get asked often how I have the confidence to take on projects like this without knowing exactly what I'm doing. And I believe that confidence is built on capability. By taking on projects that I don't really know how to do and figuring it out along the way, I am now confident in my ability to figure out how to do things. So because we already had these laying around and I didn't want this to be a structure that was permanently stuck in one area, I decided to build this building on a base of pallets. And so I'm just measuring out here exactly the lengths that I'm going to need for the bottom of each of the walls. I am new to the area that I am currently living in and building this homestead in, and my huge passion is gardening and growing food and flowers. We are having what I am told is a very late spring, so I am trying to get these projects done before I get out into the garden that I am building from scratch this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. It seems that this is an area where most people only partake in summer gardens and not really spring or fall gardens. So I am currently waiting for a delivery of compost and soil. It looks like it'll probably still be another couple of weeks. So here I am just cutting what will be the heights for the end walls, or the back wall actually, this one will be. If you aren't familiar with power tools, it really is just another one of those things that takes time to get comfortable with. Just make sure your hands are clear and don't be pressing buttons if you don't know what they are. Here I am going to sand the ends of the boards that we had just cut. This isn't necessary at all. I just have already given myself a few slivers by this point and thought I would just make it a bit easier on myself moving forward. This is one of the nice things about battery operated power tools as well, is that I'm not having to drag around cords. I just switch the battery from one to the other. I actually have enough batteries for all of the tools, but this one was sitting right here, so it just makes it faster than having to move things around and plug things in. That is my cat Roderick, you can hear in the background. He is over in his catio watching me. Uh, all of our cats go in the catio because they're rescues that aren't that familiar with being outdoors. No, nothing is wrong with him. He is just very vocal and likes to tell you about everything, especially at 4 a.m. During this framing process, I learned that for me, putting the first 2 or 3 boards together was a bit of a struggle. I kind of got into a groove by the time we did the 4th wall, but yeah, I definitely found this to be a bit challenging for me to get started. This video is going to be split into a few days because we had some really interesting weather during this time. We went from -2 one morning to the next day having 30 degrees Celsius. So it was all over the place. There was some rain, but we were fortunate during the times that I was actually recording this that we had some pretty decent weather and not too hot. The next day when I'm recording was very hot though. One of the best things that I think you can do if you're wanting to take on projects around your home or even working in the garden is to learn how to properly read a tape measure. Even working in trades, I have encountered people that couldn't tell you the difference between 15/16 and a quarter, and it definitely makes things more challenging when you're just trying to remember the exact spot you had looked at on the measuring tape instead of knowing what it is in actual measurements. Once I had the initial square of the wall built, putting in these next few boards in between, I actually don't know exactly what these are called. Maybe they're stringers, perhaps that's right. But putting in these next few boards was pretty easy in comparison to getting the actual square started. I apologize if you are a carpenter or a builder of any sorts because you should probably just switch off this video now. This isn't a garden video, but I thought I would take the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite topics and tell you that on the bank you can see behind me here while I'm working, this is where I intend to plant all of our blueberry bushes, raspberries, and strawberries. There's actually already small elderberry cuttings along the ridge of the bank that I put in earlier this season. Moving this wall is one of those things that probably would have been beneficial to have a helper, but once I get further into the project, this wall ended up being a lot easier than the 8-foot wall that was at the front. Fortunately, I've watched enough YouTube videos of other people building things to know to have this board ready at the side of our base already secured, so I just had to secure it to the wall. Once I secured it the same on the other side, then I was just adding nails to secure the wall to this pallet base, and this part went fairly quickly. Now I am just measuring everything out for what will be the front wall. I won't show you the entire process of getting that front wall built with the framing like I did on this last one, but we'll just look at the shortened version here and then see how that front wall looks. After this front wall gets put up, I actually end up changing where the door opening is. I decided I didn't think that would work for the inside layout very well, so I kind of moved the door towards the center instead of having it on the right side so much. Here I'm just measuring the distance between the front and back walls to figure out the width of the end walls that we are going to put up. If you are interested in building things or creating things that you have never done before, I really encourage you just to do it. Watch all the videos you need to watch and ask all the questions you need to ask. But the only way to really learn is to just get hands-on and give these things a try. And don't be discouraged if the things you do create don't end up being the best. Pretty much everything I've ever built has been mediocre, but I've gotten better as I've gone along, and just because it's mediocre doesn't mean it won't work. It just means you have room for improvement and you try again. So here I am back to my least favorite part of getting one of these walls started. These will be the end walls, so we're just getting those put together here. These two little lunatics like to be a part of everything that I do, but here they are having fun and burning off some energy. One of the things I didn't do here was the standard 16-inch centers. I got as close as I could without adding a ton of extra lumber that I didn't want to have to purchase. I was pretty impressed with how close to perfect these end walls ended up fitting. A lot better than I expected when I started out, so just goes to show you, you do improve with time. Now I am working on what I believe is called a top plate, basically securing these two separate wall areas together from the top with one board. If that isn't called a top plate, please let me know. I would love to use the correct terminology. Another reason that I am building this shower house and bathroom on pallets is because in the future we would love to be able to pick this up and move it around the property with our tractor, and this just seemed like probably the easiest way to go about that. So as you can see here, this board I'm putting up overlaps from the side wall section onto the back wall section and just secures those two walls together. If you aren't familiar with working on ladders, do yourself a favor and grab one that is taller than you think you're going to need. It's not recommended to stand on the top two rungs of the ladder. It's definitely requires more balance. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I just wanted to thank you for hanging out with me today as I worked on this garden shower. I hope you'll stick around and check out the next few videos where we build our new garden and continue with the homestead projects.